that was LMA trip. So we are into the second week of the Michaels-Gregory trial. I know people refer to it as the Ahmaud Arbery trial, but he is not on trial. He is dead. He has paid the ultimate price. So it is the state of Georgia versus McMichaels and Gregory. The McMichaels, the father and son, and Gregory. And they, it's interesting because when you look back at how we got here, initially there was the murder. Police officers saw it. Prosecutors saw it in all its gore, and they decided there was nothing to prosecute. Another prosecutor saw it, said again, it was nothing to prosecute. Another prosecutor saw it from that area, again said it was nothing to prosecute. As a matter of fact, when some of them came on the scene, police officers came on the scene, saw Ahmaud Arbery struggling to breathe, and didn't believe that there was anything wrong. Nothing wrong at all. As a matter of fact, the only reason the tape came into public view is because the McMichaels defense attorney believed that once the public saw it, that it would exonerate his clients. And the law they based it on is from 1861. Georgia was the first state in the United States to formally codify the law of citizens' arrest. So the work was done by Thomas Cobb, a lawyer, a shareholder, and a author of racist texts. And he was a Confederate officer during the stages of the war. So it allowed white men, to form mobs. And after slavery was over, it basically allowed them to force black people into a new form of servitude. While in slavery in the United States, of course, we know it ended with the 13th Amendment in 1865. Of course, we know racism didn't. This law is from right around the time the Civil War ended. So I'm just going to kill the mystery for you. Anytime there's something before 1860, it ain't going to be favorable to black people. So there are reports that the Equal Justice Initiative has reports that have documented over 300 acts of violence by white mobs against Georgia black citizens. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution between 1877 and 1950 said there were almost 600 documented lynchings in Georgia. So when the McMichaels and Gregory and the prosecutors and the defense attorney saw that video or watched that murder, they believed they were acting in accordance with this law. This law has been around since the end of the Civil War. Ahmaud Arbery was killed in February 23rd of 1920. The law was repealed in May of 2021. So imagine all the times that people were killed or murdered because of a law that was specifically designed to do. This law was put in place so it could work exactly like what happened. Men in pickup trucks, white men in pickup trucks, killing black men and not being held to account for them is not new. It is retro. As a matter of fact, it was enshrined in their state constitution. It only got repealed after Ahmaud Arbery's death. So you're going to impanel a jury of 11 white people who grew up in this time, unless they're a year old. Well, they repealed it in May, so they had to be months old and serve on the jury to have had a different set of circumstances. This law was on purpose. It was designed to do exactly what it did on February 23rd, 2020, which is why prosecutors said nothing to see here, which is why the prosecutor said that, which is why defense attorney showed it with no fear of repercussions because he believed that they were acting appropriately. This law stayed on the books until people, oh, wow. And it wasn't because they had a change of heart. They had a change of technology. They had cameras now. And now people are held to account. But those men acted with what was enshrined in law. They believe that. And it's on purpose. Just like when the judge says, well, yeah, they probably used discrimination to exclude black jurors. They probably did. But they get the fail-safe position and say, we didn't ask them nothing about race. And they get to do exactly what they wanted to do. They get to impanel a jury of like-minded people who function under this law to their entire life. And all of a sudden ask those men to see what they knew to be law, that they knew to be right, they knew to be average and normal, to render judgment on a man who did exactly what they were supposed to do. That is why diversity in this jury was important, and that is why they didn't want him on the jury. Because most of those people on that jury, all except for one, believe that this law should exist. They believe it should exist. It was only repealed after, in May, a few months ago. After it was written in the Civil War. Let me ask you something. If the law worked as it was supposed to, and those men murdered with impunity, they get to murder black people with impunity, and then they get to be judged by men who believe that is right, what chance at true justice do we have? When the other thing that was put in place to make sure this didn't happen was the Supreme Court not saying that you can't deny black people on the jury, exclude black people on the jury because of race. And the judge, sitting in this case, believes that they had done it. This law, along with the other laws, are designed to do one thing: to get black people, to have black people be murdered and die, and no one being about to account for them. And then they get to say, this is justice. They were judged by their peers. And their peers believe that a law written in 1861, right after the Civil War, was right up until a few months ago. The only chance we have is being able to serve on juries and be prosecutors and to be defense attorneys and to hold people account. It was murder in 1861. It is murder in 2021. It was always murder. But they decided what it should be. They decided what was right or wrong. Murder has always been murder, whether it was shined in the Constitution or shown on a video. And their approximation of justice is why we keep coming to these places. These things happen because there are always loopholes in the law that allow them to do one thing: murder black people with impunity. Whether you call it the citizen's arrest or qualified immunity, it all is to do the same thing: to murder black people, to be judged unfairly, to not have a representative jury, and to get off. And that is not justice. That is just us. That's a little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the D.L. Hughley Show.